So we have a further entry into this re-emerging Marvel cosmic scene with Guardians of the Galaxy .1.
And it is the worst kept surprise in comic book history. We talk about Batman Incorporated number 8.
Okay, so this is a .1 issue. I think reading it, you kind of understand why.
Yeah.
Still, it's a bit weird. It's not necessary, but whatever.
You know how annoyed I've been.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd get that out.
0.1.
I just thought I'd get that out the way. I'm interested to see what you think of this, because really, it's kind of a similar story to Nova. So how did you find this?
It is similar.
Yeah. Deals with a kid, a strange father.
But I like the fact that it deals with the kid for a very little amount of time and his angst of being a kid without a dad, and it's more focused on
evolution.
Evolution, yeah. You get the really nice build up at the start with Star-Lord. I love all that and the relationship that they create with him and the mother. And then, you know, you get your character development with the kid and what, you know, he stands up for what's right and stands up for everything that is good. And then right at the end of the book, you get your nice little surprise in there. And that last double page gets me so excited to read the rest of the book. And what I like with this as opposed to Nova is the artistic style couldn't be more different. You read a thing like Nova and it's almost cartoon-like. It's very bright, very animated. Whereas this one, I don't want to use the word realistic, but it's more comic book. The color palette is much more not muted, but is more natural than you get in Nova, and you know, you get more brooding expressions on people's faces and things like that. I absolutely love this book, and I'm so excited to pick up issue 1. Yeah,
what I like about this is it's the most Bendis book I've ever read. Like how much story happens in such a short space of time. I really enjoyed seeing Bendis work in that way. Like there's one issue where it kind of shows how they came together.
Loved all that. Which
is just sort of 8 panels, and it's perfect. It says so much, and it's like, I think maybe one of the problems you had with Nova last week is that, you know, it's a story we all know, and they've tried to add a new edge. With this, it's a story we all know, and instead of trying to make it different, Bendis just pushes past it.
Gets very quickly.
Let's get that out the way. Let's get it out the way in the most sort of economic way possible.
Yes.
And then we'll get onto our spacefaring adventure next week. Yeah. And I like that decision to do that. I think it's good. I think it's exciting. And really, just you're right. That last page is what I sort of wanted from Fantastic Four, Fractions Fantastic Four, and we've had that a bit, but not really. Like, I like stuff that takes place on the ship, and it goes back to like the Star Trek days where you've got them all on the ship and they're debating, and it's sort of like a ragtag group of adventurers and
like Firefly or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's what
we might get the Firefly in the comic book world.
And I'm excited to learn more about these characters. I feel like I already know tons about our main character, which is great. Like, this issue couldn't have done any more than that. Yeah, Steve McNiven I think was great, and I just really had a good time with this. It's another knockout the park for Marvel now.
I agree. So, something that I know you feel very strongly about, and that I feel very strongly about, is spoilers online.
Well,
we hate them.
But we're going to give them to you now.
Unfortunately so, because quite frankly, if you haven't read the spoilers, and we can't talk about this book without spoiling it, but with that being said, everyone else could have waited until it had come out.
Yeah, God, give me a chance to read it first.
It is, because I understand that the comic book industry has to get as many people buying the book as possible, so they have to create this mass hysteria whenever something major happens. You know, it happened with the death of Superman, it happened with Spider-Man, Captain America. I understand why it has to be done, but don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not fair. You wouldn't have it in a film or something.
There was some really irresponsible journalism going on.
Seriously. But with that put to the side, we haven't talked about Batman Incorporated on the show for a while.
No.
And obviously we're talking about this for the significant moment at the end, which I want to know your thoughts about it.
I know
because
you.
I get the feeling there may have been some strong reactions whilst reading.
It's so mixed, isn't it?
I mean, the choice in cover even says
I
how
came
you
in
feel.
to Dell before and I said, you can tell I'm in denial by the fact that I chose the Chris Burnham cover and not the Robin R.E.P. cover. But anyway, yeah, it's obviously extremely mixed emotions. So, I mean, it's been going on all week. And I've been thinking about it all week. It's been on my mind all week. Damian Wayne, it seems like I'm being dramatic, and I'm fucking not.
People need to understand, Damian Wayne, you prefer than Batman. Like, you love yourself some Damian.
I think he's one of the most interesting characters we've had in years, and I just became so attached to his story. I loved him as a character. I loved seeing everyone's different take on him. God, Tomasi's take on him was my topic of last year.
Yep.
And so I've been kind of going back and forth. Is he going to die? I was kind of didn't think he was, and I didn't want him to. Okay, right. I'm babbling.
Get to the point.
So,
did you cry? That's what everyone wants to know.
I didn't cry.
Damn.
First of all, outside of Damian dying, this was such a great comic book, and Damian fans got so much.
I don't think you've ever had a better Damian book.
Oh God, every reason you loved him was in this book.
Yeah.
His relationship with Dick, the fact that him and Dick going out, says that he understands this character so much. And the thing is, what I love about Morrison is he loves Robin too.
Yeah.
He doesn't just love Damian, he loves Robin. And you can tell by this Batman Incorporated arc, it's almost a Robin story, right? All of them. He loves all of them. I'm still not convinced he's dead.
You think issue 9, you'll get a little cough and it'll be get into the med bay, all that jazz.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful of that. I don't want to.
Is that just you in denial?
Maybe.
Will you pick up the book next week, turn the page, they'll be putting him in a coffin, and you'll just, oh God, it's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe one of the reasons I didn't cry is because...
I love that we're having this discussion about a comic book.
But the thing is, this happens in comics, right? And people complain, right? And you tell them to grow up. You never think it's going to happen to you, right? You never think it's going to be one of your characters.
It's always Superman or Green Lantern.
Damian Wayne is one of the reasons I'm reading comics at the moment. When I got back into comics, what was it? It was Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's Batman and Robin book, which was, I was like, what the fuck is this? Just nothing I've ever seen before. This is no Batman I've ever read. Who is this character? Seeing all the different takes on it. Everyone wanted a piece of Damian. Gail Simone was writing Damian for Batgirl. Everyone was writing him. And because he's just such a refreshing... this was a fantastic issue. It's handled... If it's going to happen, this was the best way for it.
Yeah.
And it sets up such an exciting fight between Batman and that monster. Yeah, it sets up what an epic fight that's going to be. So I'm babbling. What did you think?
I agree with the vast majority of your point. There are some moments in this book where you're just like, this one here, I'm not your father, Talia. Loved it. The whole scene with Dick,
Stone,
and he's like, you've always been my favourite partner. And he's like, we should team up more. That's what I'm saying. Loved it. Because
it's so badass, and they jump over the thing, and there's an explosion.
And when Robin gets into this fight, he goes out in a blaze of glory. It's not just he gets beaten down. He doesn't lose his Damian-ness. He's still you can kill me? I can kill me. Try it.
Spits in his face and calls him a coward. He looks into his death and he calls it a coward.
But at the same time, you get this amazing thing where, this all happens because Talia and Batman are fighting, and in this crossfire, they've both just lost a son. And that is, if anything, that's what I'm excited to read next. How are these characters going to deal with those emotions, because I mean, we get a little glimpse of Talia's emotions towards the end, but like, you know, she sucks it up. Like Batman, if you thought when he lost Jason was bad, like I think it's gonna get dark in the next few issues.
It's Morrison. It's just Morrison, because what have we been saying for the last couple of issues of this? Oh, you know, we like it, but it's a bit slow. Like it's kind of, no, we're not going. And then
it just blows up in your face.
Then that happens, and then you see, oh yeah, I get it.
I mean, this is. I saw an interview with Morrison. I saw little tidbits of it, and he said that this is the longest story he's ever done. Because how long has this been going on for? Since 2006.
Started with Batman and Son, which was years ago.
And he said, you know, the next 4 issues, this is what he's been leading up to, which I find really exciting. And it's the first large-scale Morrison work, because, you know, I read Action Comics and I gave up after a while because it was too much.
That's the problem with Morrison. He's a long game player.
But Batman and Robin, you know, I still haven't read all of them. I didn't read any of the Dick and Damian. Well, I've read some, and I do want to read it at some point. I want to get the Absolute. And, you know, I went back and read Batman Incorporated that you lent me, and I've absolutely loved this story, and I've been able to keep up with it, and it was... The end of this book was an absolute triumph for the character of Damian. I think, as I said, he went out in a blaze of glory, and that moment with Dick just... It just made me go, oh, not in a comic. And that is... the worst part is this month, that is the second time that's happened. I won't go into the other time, but it's getting emotional at the moment. Comic, lighten it up, guys. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to stop buying Morrison in issues, because it
does him no justice.
His work reads so much better when you read it all in one go. It's just the way he writes comics. He's a long game player. He's not so concerned about this, but everything is important. Now, looking back on it, I wouldn't have taken out an issue. Like, you get that the Batman Talia stuff has to build. It has to build. So, like, exactly what you just said. Like, we have to believe that in the midst of their conflict, they've forgotten a son.
They're both accountable for the death of their child, and that is going to play very differently on both parts.
Yeah, and Batman is a big part of that. But I still don't think he's dead, or at least I don't want to believe.
Gats to believe. Fantastic. So the winner of Nova #1 last week is here currently.
On the screen for you.
Yeah, and if you want to be in with a chance to win Guardians of the Galaxy 0.1 this week, leave a comment down below, and you'll be entered.
Yeah, how did you feel about Damian? Were you as upset as I was? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. It's @ComicBookShow1, and don't forget to join us on Wednesday. We'll be discussing some much belated news involving Green Lantern and everything going on with that character and that kind of series of books.
Indeed, and join us on Friday as well, when we will be discussing our best books of the previous month of February.
Previous month of February. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you next time. People complain, right? And you tell them to grow up. You never think it's going to happen to you, right?